Hello everyone, welcome to session number 3 of Java server phases. During last session we have seen how to use the core tags support library of JSF and how to use the HTML, XHTML tags all together with the help of JSF tag library. Today we are going to discuss more about the JSF tag library. Specifically we are going to talk about how to use the converter tags, because we know that whenever we are using the web application from the client side, we are sending the text boxes, password, everything is going through the HTTP protocol. Inside the HTTP protocol payload part, which we can say is the body part, there are two parts in the HTTP protocol, we call header and body. Especially the body part of your HTTP protocol is known as the payload, and payload carries the data. Right, we say it as in data packets, and we consider that this HTTP as a text based protocol. So whenever data goes to the server side, we need to convert the strings into the appropriate type. So for that we do have the various converter tag available with us. It can be known as Java converter tag, or at times few people call it as an JSF converter tag. At times people call it as an JSF data conversion tag, core tags also. So basically there are three different tags, three categories. First one is the converter. We use it with the phaselet library, so we do have the extension F converter. These tags can be used to add any arbitrary converter to the parent component. Suppose you want to you are having a component and you want to convert the value into the big integer, or you want to convert it into the double, or you want to convert it into the string. So all such basic arbitrary converter can be used, or we can use the F converter tag to have such conversion. Another category which we have is F converter date and time. We have discussed during the JSTL formatting tag that date and time plays a crucial role, right? Suppose you want to convert a date into the specific manner. Suppose when you are saying that user is giving input as a date, basically it is the Java date class object which is including everything. That is date, time, date and month, year, time into hour, minutes and second. At times if we are using the long format, it includes the time zone also. The entire world is divided into the different time zone, and each and every country is having the falling into the certain time zone, right? So this kind of a web application, when suppose you are going to organize an online event where boundaries are not there, anybody from the entire world can participate. So if you are using your Indian server, it will show the participants the time of the webinar going to be conducted in the Indian time. But at times there are participants who are from other countries, right, such as US. We know that in US and we are having the huge difference in the time, right? Maybe from the UAE, right? So if we consider the UAE countries, we are almost 1 hour and 30 minutes ahead than the UAE country, right? So to have such kind of a web application where we need to convert the date and time into the specific time, or we want to go with only date, we want to go with only time, in such cases we will use the various F convert date time tags. We are going to see shortly the list, what are the tags supported and how it works. Along with that, we do have one more converter which is specifically working with the numbers, and it is going to add the converters which are going to convert your number into the specific format. Suppose you want only percentage, suppose you want from the entire number, if number is double kind of, so after the fraction you don't want the values, you want only integers, right? So such kind of conversions you can do with the help of F convert number tags. So let us see what all are the list we are having. As I said, three category. Category number 1, arbitrary converter, JSF converter. So it converts the class, various classes are provided. You can convert the big decimal converter class you can use. If you want to use big decimal converter, you have to use Java x dot faces dot big decimal. Suppose you want to convert into the byte, then you are going to use byte converter, which requires java x dot faces dot byte. Suppose you want to convert it into float, then you can go with java x dot faces dot float. So in short, this is like your parsing. We have used our core Java where we have used various parsing. We said integer dot parse int, right? So similar way you can use all such classes to have the conversion of your string into the specific parent class. For example, the data types which are supported are big decimal, big integer, boolean, byte, character, date and time, double, enumeration, float, integer, long, number and short. So these are the various data types which you can consider are very near to your Java basic data type. So in a web application, as I said, when HTTP passes the payload data packets, ultimately user data is into the text format because we are using the HTTP, a text based protocol, and that's why at the server side the conversion is needed. So at that time we can use either of this, whatever is the desired conversion type, that type of class we can use. The second type which we discuss about the converter is JSF colon convert date and time tag. When you are using this, you can use the various attribute. As I said, this is tag. If you see over here, we said JSF converter are the classes, right? So you need to include the class, and then the way we are writing the Java code, we can convert it. But when you say about the date and time, we do have tag. So we have learned in HTML tags, like if we say input, so this is my tag, right? You have to look from here. I said input, then I say type. So over here type is my attribute having the value text. So this is going to give me a text box, right? So what I say is input is the type and text is the attribute 1 having the value text. Similar way I can give the value such as I can give name equal to, I can say txtnm. So if I am saying this, it means that this is my text box having the variable name txtnm. So this is my attribute 2. This is tag and this is attribute 1 and this is attribute 2, right? So these are the various ways to give pairing of attribute and value to the tags. So this is my HTML tag. Similar way, now we are saying that we are having the JSF and this is convert date and time tag, and if we want to use it, we have to use the f colon convert date and time, right? This is the tag. So now this is your tag, and whatever you want to give as an attribute are listed over here. So these are the attributes, right? So very first attribute is binding. You can bind the date and time converter. It is used generally to bind your manage bin property, because in JSF we have discussed during the last session also that all the data property of your bin class, that is user bin.java, right? If you are having string name, then that name we want to bind it, or suppose the date of birth we want to use it, right? So that date of birth we can use with the help of binding it with its manage bin property, right? The next thing the second attribute which we can use is the date style. So with the date style we do have 5 options over here. First one is the default. You are not specifying anything, then the default style will be taken, right? The second one is a short, where we are going to have the date into the short time, like short formation of the date. The third one is the medium, where date will be appeared in the medium length kind of way. The fourth one is long, and the fifth one is full. When I say full, we are going to include everything, that is date, full month name, year in the YYYY format, as well the hours, minutes, seconds, even the microseconds it gives, and the time zone. So this entire thing is called the full date. So you have to specify if you are converting a particular input given by the user using f colon convert date, and you are giving over here date style, right? And we are having, as I said, 5 options. You can give over here full, So it is going to take entire data as a full input, right? It is going to convert whatever user has entered, it will convert it into the full length of the date. Similar way, we do have the next attribute, which is known as for. It is used to refer that the objects within the composite attribute, right? We are going to use this as a part of the composition. Yesterday we have seen the prefix cc of your tag. With the facelet we can create various composite tag. So at that time you have to specify you are doing this conversion for which composite component, right? The fourth one is the local. So there are two options. If you are not specifying anything, right, then local will be returned as in your instance of the date and time styles will be used for the formatting and parsing. But if you have not specified anything, it will go like a string. The next one is the pattern. Now this pattern is going to be used with the various banking system. You can see the printed check when you are having the amount. Let us say you are having the 10,000 rupees, right? So what they do is they write 10 comma 3 zeros, right, dot 00, and ahead they will use some pattern such as hash or something, so that nobody can print the extra later as a prefix of the given number. So here you can specify the specific pattern, right? As well you can specify the pattern of your, sorry, that was the regarding your numbers, but here the pattern means you can go with the date style and time style. You can use either date or time. So if you want to go with only pattern, suppose you are converting into the date and time and you want to go with only f colon convert date and time, and you are saying that pattern is equal to date style, so it is going to take only date, it is going to ignore the time. But if you are saying that pattern is equal to time style, then it is going to ignore the date and it is going to show you only time. But if you are typing both, then it is going to give you both the attributes, that is date and time together, right? The next attribute which we are going to discuss is about the time style. Again, like a date, your time also can be with the 5 different options. You can say time style is equal to default, or time style is equal to short, medium, long or full. As per the need of the web application, we can specify it, right? The next one is the time zone, right? This, as we discussed, that if we are working on a development of a website, it can be used globally from the any corner of the world, and that's why the time zone information is required. So usually this property or this attribute is used for the time zone, in which they interpret any time information regarding your date string. And the last one is the type. Over here you can specify the type of your input control, a date, time or both. So these are your f colon convert date and time tags. Now the third tag which we have over here is the f colon convert number, right? So if you are using the f colon convert number, we are having the various attributes as specified in our previous type, that is attribute, your attributes, date and time, right? Similar way we do have over here the f colon converter tag. Now this f colon converter tag is having the very first property, which is same as the previous one, binding, to bind the management property. You can use the currency code. All the currencies are having the various code which are given as an you have given as an let's say there is a standard, we call it as an ISO 4217, and if we see that dollar sign is having a symbol, similar way rupees is also having the symbol. So for all these currencies we do have the code, so you can use the currency code, currency symbol. You can use for attribute to specify with the composite attribute. You can use grouping use, suppose you want to specify whether the format output contains any grouping separator, such as I said in a bank checks we are having 10,000 then 10 comma 3 zeros 0.00. So comma is used to have the grouping to be provided to the number. The next one is integer only. Suppose you don't want the fraction part, you can specify the integer. Local, again string or local are the type. If the number style are used to format or parse the data, then we are going to use the local. Max fraction digit, after point how many you want, right? Minimum fraction digit, how many minimum number of digits are required into the format. Max integer digit as well, mean integer digits, though this you can specify with your converters. Pattern, as I said, the bank check example which by mistake I discussed with the date and time converter, this is over here, pattern, right? If you want to give a specific bank check with the 10,000, obviously before one there should be nothing, and if the check is printed one, you can go with the specific pattern such as hash. You can use any customized format to display the pattern. And the last one is the type, which is used to specify whether string value is passed as an formatted number, currency or percentage. There are various these options, you can go with the either of the option. So this is the three different type of GSF date conversion core tags. Now let us move and see how we can create our very first. We are going to see two demos over here. The first demo where we will use how to use various number converter, and the second demo we are going to use see how to use various date and time converter. So for this, let us move to our NetBeans and we'll see the demonstration over there. Okay, so let us see this the first example of JSF converter. Suppose I want to go with the number converter, right? So this is simply converting number into the specific format. So I'm not going to use any bean class or anything. Only in index.html I have written certain you can see certain things I have written, certain code in between the output text. So before that, let me use again the magnifier so that you will have the bigger font to see the code. The application creation is similar like we have seen in the very first session, that we are going to use the last portion of file, new project, Java web application, giving name, choosing server, and at last in fourth step you are going to select the JSF web framework, which is given as a second checkbox option, right? Now you can see over here we are having XML first line because we are using index.xhtml, which is the default file given by your JSF framework, right? HTML tag, we have specified that namespace we are going to use is for the XHTML. This all we have discussed during the last two sessions, right? H is for the H prefix XML NS colon H. So H prefixed tags are from the JSF HTML tags, and XML NS colon F suggests that all the tags having the prefix F are from the JSF core tags. So now let's directly move to the body part. You can see over here the very first tag I have is the H1, where I don't have any prefix, so this is my XHTML tag, right? Then I have H colon output text, which is in between containing F colon convert number, and you can see over here this is my JSF HTML tag, so H is the prefix and all the converter tags belongs to JSF code library, that's why we are having the prefix F. So the first thing which I have included in my out text is the value 100.12685, and I have used the converter tag F colon convert number, maximum fraction digit 2. What does it mean? It is going to show me only last 2 digit, right? So it will apply the rule of rounding and all, and it will just give me the last 2 digit. But sometimes what happens with the numbers, I want not only the 2 digit, but I want to specify what could be the minimum integer digit. So I said minimum integer digit is 5 and maximum fraction digit is 5. So over here fraction part is having the 5 digit, but integer part is having only 2 digits. So it is going to add 0 0 in front, right? It is going to add it and then it will have the execution. The next is the format number, convert number with the pattern. You can see over here I have a pattern hash 00.00. So this pattern will be applied to this number. Next thing we have is the currency symbol we can use, and we want to display the type as an currency. So this is the value, it will be applied as an currency. The last one is the convert number, the type attribute, which says the percentage, and obviously when I say percentage, this part will be removed because we know that in percentage we don't have the fraction part, right? So now if I execute this, because as this is the convert number values I have directly given, so I have not used any bin class and all. Directly I am going to see the index.html variable value, and I have applied the various attributes of f colon convert number in between the h colon output text, right? So it is going to show me the output of my index.xhtml, right? Let us see what is the output it is giving. It's still working. Yeah, you can see here, right? So this is like we set the maximum fraction part as 2, this minimum integer 5 and minimum fraction part 5, right? And the pattern, this is the pattern, we said hash 00.00. so after this it is having the 00, it's doing the rounding off automatically. We said currency, and when we say currency, obviously it takes after fraction only 2 digit, so it has converted the number. And percentage, so after fraction part has been removed and then it is giving the percentage. So this is how your convert number application runs, right? Now let us see the second demo, which is about the date and time conversion. You can see my application over here. Now over here I have taken basically two XHTML file and one bin class, right? So I have a user bin over here, user.java, right? It is my managed bin, and user bin is having the two things. One is name, right? You can see over here string name, and I have date, which is my user's date of birth. And for both the attribute I have getter and setter method, right? And now I am using index.html to take the input. So I have taken a form, and inside the form I have output label. For the username I said username, and I'm taking the input from the user. So this is going to give me a text box where I'm going to enter the name, right? Then I have taken the second output label for informing user to enter date of birth, and an input control. So this is going to give me a text box which is mapped to my date of birth of user bin. You can see this is user bin's property name, and this is user bin's property date of birth, right? And whatever input I am going to give, it is going to convert it into the format dd/mm/yy. So this is your convert date and time. The first conversion will happen over here, and then we are going to give it to the response.xhtml. Now on response.xhtml we will receive both, that is the username and the date of birth in this format, right? So over here we are going to display username as an value of out text. So we said hello username. Then we have given an output label where we say your date of birth in the different formats are given below, and we are going to apply the different format for the date of birth. For example, you can see first we are saying that date style is medium. In the second we are saying date style is full, and we have taken over here type is date, right? on both the very first like both the conversion we have taken type is equal to date. The next date of birth, the same variable we are displaying, but we have taken type is equal to time, and we have given the full, so it is going to give me the full type, right, full time. When I have taken the next format as in convert date and time, and we said this variable user.dob should have the date style full, pattern is yyy.mmm.ddd at then hour, minutes, seconds and time zone, right. Similar way I have taken the next format where I said take the date style full and pattern is h colon MMA, so AM PM it is going to display. As well I said the next format date style is long, and I said time zone is EST, right, and we said type is both, so it is going to give me date and time both. In the next one I said local conversion of DEN EN, so English and the other format I am going to convert. In both the examples I have changed the time style. First I have said long, type is both and date style is full. With the last one I said time style is short, type is both and date style is full. So now if I run this example, first my index.html will be executed and it will give me a text box for entering username and a text box for entering the date of birth, and these two data properties are mapped to my managed bin class user, that is string name and date of birth. On click of index.html's command button, which is labeled as, let us change the label, which is labeled as show date formats, right. This label, on click it will take us to response.xhtml, and in response.xhtml we are going to display both username and date of birth with various conversion attribute applied over here, right. So let us execute this application and see what happens. You will have the various formats to be displayed for your date and time format. So we'll see how it happens, like what is date style full, what is short and all. So first index.xhtml, let me enter my daughter's name over here, Anika, and let us enter her birth date 18/12/2016, right, 18th December 2016, and I'll say show date format. So now these two values with the help of user.set name and set DOB, these two things has been set inside my managed bin user, right, because we are having the JSF, and JSF input controls are smart enough to talk with your model. So this is your view which is binding your model values, right, and when I click on the submit button it is going to take me to response.xhtml, and you can see hello Anika Bloch. So this is our text box value, and our variable is being displayed differently, right. See, here we have changed the language, right, and here we kept EN, which is English, right. Here we said only time, right, but in the short format. Here we said time with the HHMM and SS format. Here we say H colon MM, so only hours and minutes are shown, right. Okay, so this is like you are showing the various date and time period over here, right. So that is all about the date conversion. You can execute these programs by your own. I'm going to upload everything, then and then you will have the clear idea what we are talking about. So I just request everybody and suggest that go with the maximum hands-on to your all the JSF learning, because ultimately we are going to do all this for our web development applications, and that's why hands-on is must. So you must apply all the hands-on related to your web applications. tag an attribute, you play with it, you apply the various combinations, you change certain value, and then you will have the clear idea what we are doing with our tags. Now, so this is the two things which we have seen, demo 1 which was talking about your JSF number converter, and demo 2 which was talking about your JSF date and time converter. Now the next thing which we are going to see is about the range converter, right? Sorry, we are going to see is about the JSF validation tag. Now we know that with each and every web forms, validation is must. For example, being logged into Gmail, you are leaving your username and password blank and you are clicking on the submit button, then it will give you the error message which says username and password must be provided. So this is, you can say, is the require validator, right? Require validator, and the tag is valid required. We can apply with our input text and we can say this tag is must, so it is used to ensure that the local value should not be empty, it must be there, so that's why validate required. Another thing which we see certain time is about giving the specific pattern. For example, last name should not contain any digits. My last name is Bloch, B-L-O-C-H, and nobody will have digits in their last name, so we can give the regular expression R-E-G-E-X, which says regular expression, and this regular expression are applicable with almost all the languages. Even with the .NET validation controls, you would have applied certain regular expression writing for the validation controls. So validate REGEX is specifying the specific component must match the pattern or the regular expression specified as per the rule of that particular control. For example, when you are writing the email, @ and dot sign is must. So this is, you can specify with the help of validate REG, regular expression. The next one is we do have over here, which is validate double range. Suppose you want to give a range for the floating numbers and you want to say that minimum this, maximum this. For example, with the banking application, there is a limit that in a day you cannot go more than 20,000. Certain banks says not more than 25,000 money withdrawal from the bank. So that's the validate double range with the floating point, it applies over there. The way you are having the double range, you are having validate long range. So here the double range works with the floating point numbers, where validate long range works with the numeric, any numeric type and the string, right? So we can use it. The next tag which is says length validator, where we are validating the length of the input. For example, if some forms are asking you to enter the mobile number, we know that mobile number cannot exceed than the 10 digits. It must have the value 10 numbers should be there in a mobile number. So that length you can specify with the help of validate length. Even certain websites says password length must be 8 characters longer. So that's the length which we are validating, right? So this is length validator, tag is validate length, right? So if we talk for last 5, double range validator can be applied with the help of the tag f:validate double range. Length validator can be applied with the tag f:validate length. Long range validator can be applied with f:validate long range. Regular expression such as email checking or digits are not allowed, only alphabets, can be specified with the help of f:validate regex, right? And the must field, which is like not null, we must have the value. You can use the required validator with the help of the tag f:validate required. Along with this, suppose you don't want to use any of this specified one, but instead you want to specify the validation values inside your bin. Inside your managed bin, you want to apply the validator component. So you can use the first tag which says validate bin, and validate bin supports the list of various validators. For example, if you want to make a certain field to be not null, so you can see over here we are having the very first constraint which says @not null. So you can write this inside your management class by writing @not null in front of your data property of your bin class, right? Another thing is another constraint can be the null. So sometimes we are allowing let it be null, it's okay, it's not the compulsory field. In such cases you have to write @null, right? Size, this is the size of the field. You can give the minimum and maximum. Suppose message you want to take as a feedback message, so you can go with the small message like okay, right? 2 letters, two characters only, or maximum you want to allow the 250. So you can say size string brief message, but again this brief message is the data property of your management. So instead of writing the validation control inside your JSF standard control or HTML kind of JSF support tags, you can write it inside the management class, and for that you are having the various constraints such as not null, null, size, digits. It is used to set the constraint for a field or property where it must be a number. For example, price, we know that price can be the big decimal, so we say it digits, and integer 6, so it means that maximum 6 integer, and fraction part after point you can go with the 2 values for setting the price of a particular product. As well, we do have the decimal mean, decimal max. Suppose discount, you are saying decimal mean minimum 5, so only this much we can apply, and maximum you can say 30%, so this is like 3.00 you can go with. Max, sometime while purchasing from the online site they said the maximum quantity which you can go is the 10, so you can set the text box quantity where you are purchasing a product by keeping the annotation @max 10 integer quantity. So this will not allow user to go with the maximum more than 10 quantity. And suppose certain website wholesalers are keeping that minimum 5 items you should purchase, so for that we can go with the minimum @min 5, quantity is equal to 5, right? As well, the pattern, you see I said like you can go with the expression. This is the US number style where we are having the 3 digits, right? And it can be certain 3-4, so this is for the phone number, regular expression, so you can specify the pattern. Similar way you can specify the pattern for the email address also. If you'll Google it, you'll find all these patterns which are there for the regular expression. I again repeat, this regular expression is equally applicable to the .NET technology, or even with the PHP you can go with the validation style using the regular expression, right? One more notation this is very interesting. We do have 2 interesting notations over here which says @past and @future. Suppose you want to set a field where the that particular date should be the past date. For example, date of birth cannot be the current date, it has to be the past date, right? So you can use @past date, birth date inside your management class. So if somebody is using the current date or is using the future date, your validator is going to give the error message. You can specify the message. We are going to see in the demo how we can specify the message that you must enter the past date for your birth date. That way we can set the customized messages for our validation. The way we have past, we have the future. For the future event, such as scheduling your seminar is the future event. So when you are getting the registration email, we have to give you the future date and time, right? So that we can use with the help of @future date, event date. As well, we do have 2 more tags which are saying the assert, which is taking the boolean value, right? Suppose certain property or field value you want to say that it must be true, right? So you can say @assert2. For example, let us say agreement of the software. When you are using certain website registration, they are saying, are you agree to terms and condition? Unless you check the checkbox that assertion is true, you are not allowed to move forward. So that is asserted true. The way we do have a true condition, sometimes we need the false condition. For example, uploading a video which says the certain rules, like it should be, like in certain sites says it should be educational video only. So if you are saying it's not the educational video, they are going to ask you, and if you are saying false, then and then it is going to allow you. So assert true and false is taking the boolean value, is applicable to the boolean data type of your managed bin, right? And you must apply it with the @ sign, @assert true and @assert false. So now let us quickly see an example where we are going to see all this validation tag inside our application, right? So again, I'm using the NetBeans, right? And we are going to see the JSF validation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an registration form, and this registration form is having a certain field such as username, last name, age, right? And on all this input controls I have applied the validation. So you can see over here I have registration.xhtml. I guess I no need to say that why it is running as an index.html, because inside the web.xml we have set our registration.xml as a welcome file. That's why it will run the, you can see over here my web.xml, right? We are saying that registration.xhtml is my welcome file. That's why instead of index.xhtml, the registration.xhtml will work. Now, as we are going to do one thing, we are going to take the input from the user and we are going to show it back to the user. So which says process registration, and all these things we are going to do over a managed bin, because I want to show you the certain validators, managed bin validators also. So I have created a managed bin named as hello bin. Now you can see over here my managed bin hello bin is having certain data property. This is my request scope bin, and I have string uname, username, last name, mobile number, password, address, age and gender. So we discussed that we can use the bin validator. You can see not null bin validator I have used over here, where I say the message, if user is not selecting from the registration form, the checkbox is not checked, male and female, nothing has been chosen, then the message which we are going to give to the user is you must choose the gender, cannot be null, right? So this is what we are going to, what we can say is applied at the managed bin label validator, not null, right? Now for all this data property such as username, last name, mobile, password, address and age, everywhere I have taken input type is equal to text box inside my registration form. You can see registration form inside the body part, and I have taken it inside a form, and then I am giving a command button also. You see the very first, enter first name. We said input type h colon input text, which is mapped to the data property hello world, which is my management dot uname, and we have given the validate length. We said minimum 4, maximum 15. It means that my first name, the username must be either minimum 4 letters. If I am applying 3, it won't take, it must give the 4, right? Or let me give the 3 over here, because at times user may have 3 letters number, such as we have Raj in 6C2, right? Okay. Now the last name over here, I said only I want to allow the alphabets, because last name I want to apply like it should not have any digits. So I am going with the F colon regex, regular expression. You can see one thing over here. This is my input, and in between the input tags we are applying the validators. So we have return f colon regular expression, well, f colon validate regex pattern. This is the standard pattern. You can get all this pattern from the internet, even for email checking and all, right? And I'm giving the validator message that this is my validator message, which says your, just a second, which says your last name can have only alphabet. So that's the message which I'm going to give, right? Along with that, I have a mobile number. I said required true. So if I am making this input box, this is starting over here and ending over here, if I'm making it as an empty, it is going to give me the error that you must enter the mobile number. Now suppose I'm entering the mobile number and I'm entering only 5 numbers. So it is going to give me again the error, because in this single input text tag I have applied 2 validators. First one is the required validator. I said required equal to true, so it cannot be null. I must apply the value. And this is the validator message for the f colon validate length, which says minimum 10 and maximum 10, because mobile number cannot be less than 10 or more than 10, right? If it is for the local, like within the country, within the state. So that's what we have applied as an validator over here. The next thing is gender. You can see over here, this is mapped to my hello world management data property gender. I have not applied any validator in my registration.xhtml, but over the data property of managed bin hello world, I have applied the validator. So these are the two ways. Either you can write it inside your registration.xhtml or the input controls, or you can write it with your model, which is your managed bin class, right? Okay, so that's the validation over the gender. Now for the address and password, I have not applied any validator, so it's fine. I have not taken any burden over there. As well, if you can see the last one, which says enter age, over here I have given a validator which says validate long range. So minimum 18, maximum 65. If you are having the 17 years, you are not allowed, so it will give you the validator message. Your age must be between 18 and 65, right? And after that, we are clicking on the command button register me, which is going to take us to process registration. And you can see the process registration. Here we are displaying all the values. Hello, then hashtag hello world.name. We said you have registered with us successfully and your details are as follows. And then using the h colon output text, we have displayed all the values. That is all the data properties of my managed bin hello world, which is last name, mobile number, password, gender, age, everything, right? Okay, so now let us execute and see. Now we are going to do one thing for the first time. We are not going to apply any value and we are going to see what it is giving us. So this is my registration.xhtml, right? Suppose I am not giving anything and I am clicking, and you know that almost only 2 fields, which is my password and address, is not having the validation. Rest of all the input controls are having all the UI components, you can say user interface component of your JSF is having the validations applied over there. So I am clicking on register me, which says, you see, name, validation error, length is less than the allowable, that is minimum of 3. Then this is last name. This is, you see, there are 2 things. Either you can give your own message. In case you are not giving, the system will give its own validation message. This is system defined validation message. We have not specified this. As well, this one. This is also the system defined message. I said mobile number required equal to 2. So it says that validation error value is required. right? But rest of the things, this we have specified as an property of your tag, which says validation message. We said your last name must have only alphabets. You must have to choose the gender, can't be null. So this is my manage bin class validation, not null at the rate I have given inside the user bin class, right? And age must be between 18 and 65. So these are the errors. Now let us say that I am giving a name as an 2 character only, right? In that case also it will give me the error. Last name I am entering something, mobile number wrong, I am not choosing anything, and I am writing over here 67, right? So again I am not fulfilling any requirement of my registration form. So again it is giving me the same message, right? Now let us enter the correct information, right? So this is going to validate my form. 10 digits, right? Female, let us say Rajkot, though it's not required because we have not given anything. Age, of course I'm not going to write the correct one, right? Okay, register me, and you see this is my response.xhtml, which is displaying all my management property, right? So that's it about the validation control, and this is the must part. Any web application, when it is executing, it must have the validations applied on that, because validations are the thing which makes your application to run like in a required manner, because we are going to ultimately send all these values to our database. So that's the point of the discussion about the validation tags in your JSF. Now we have next discussion, which is about the JSF event handling, but I guess I am running out of time, so we'll be discussing this next time. See, till that, be safe, be home. See you next time with more exciting technical knowledge in your Java server phases. Thank you for listening.